Michael Clark reporting to you from Vancouver, and it is a little bit rainy, but there definitely is a storm on the horizon, and it is for the 2012 Subaru Impreza, hoping to take the public conceptions of Subaru by storm. And joining us is Ted Lalka, the Vice President of Product Planning and Marketing for Subaru Canada. Ted, thank you for being on the road trip.
My pleasure.
Now, Ted, up until this particular point, we talked a little bit this morning about the misconceptions that a lot of people have with Subaru, with the brand, and where they see it in regards to their vehicle shop. So let's talk about what Joe and Jane consumer currently think of the Subaru brand.
Well, a lot of people are familiar with the name Subaru, but we found a lot of people were not very familiar with it. There's a lot of confusion about the brand. We found that a lot of people saw our vehicles as small, quirky styling, country of origin. People guessed all kinds of countries other than Japan. And what we found when we told people that Subaru actually has origins from Japan, immediately there's a sense of quality, durability, reliability around a Japanese brand. But in addition to that, what we try and do is to convey the added advantage that Subaru has over our Japanese competitors.
Now, of course, the interesting thing about Impreza is that this vehicle is continuing to be built in Japan, where, of course, a lot of other Japanese manufacturers have moved to plants, of course, in the U.S., much like Subaru, of course, in Indiana with vehicles such as Legacy. But let's get into what had to change in respect to public perceptions for the Impreza. There's certainly been some concerns over the last little while in respect to fit and the trim inside. So what were some of the main things that you wanted to address as the vehicle went forward and as you spoke to Subaru as to what it needed here?
Well, first of all, people weren't familiar with Impreza at all. This is the fourth generation Impreza, yet most people weren't that familiar with it. They are familiar with the Subaru brand. A lot of them know about WRX and STI, but they weren't familiar with the actual Impreza compact car. So a lot of people are actually surprised that Subaru does have a compact car, and it's called the Impreza. Next, we want to address the preconception that Subarus are small and odd in design. When you take a look at the new Impreza here, you see a vehicle that is the right size for a compact car. In fact, the engineers made sure they didn't make it any bigger. It's just the right size it is right now. But what they did do was improve the styling to make sure that it appealed to a broader range of people. Second of all, on the interior, they made sure that it provided all the kinds of room in there for all passengers, rear seat, front seat, and the driver, and a comfortable seat. The other thing is we upgraded the quality of the materials on the interior to make sure it was a real pleasant place to be sitting. Third point, the drivetrain. We made significant improvements in both the engine and transmission, and what it results in is a 30% improvement in fuel economy. So essentially what you have is an all-wheel drive vehicle with all the advantages in terms of control, handling, and driving performance, and it delivers fuel economy that is equal to or better than a lot of front-wheel drive competitor vehicles.
Well, what's interesting is that Subaru hasn't been, how can we say this, necessarily jumping on the electric or the hybrid bandwagons as of late. The other thing, too, that we found here today with Impreza is that you're not using any form of eco programs, but at the same time, you're actually doing something in respect to adjusting driver behavior. Let's talk about the new available driver information center.
Well, actually, we call it a multifunctional display. This is a feature that's actually unique to vehicles sold in Canada and Europe. It's not available in the United States. But what it does is provide a whole lot of information for the driver. In terms of fuel economy, it provides a multitude of different ways of looking at fuel economy. So you can look at instant fuel economy that you're getting at the moment you're driving. You can look at fuel economy from a historical point of view, what you're getting over the average length of a certain trip. It also will show you how your fuel economy compares on this trip versus previous trips. So what we find is if people can actually see the fuel economy they're getting in the way they want it, they actually make a conscious effort to get improved fuel economy. It's almost like beating a game. And the benefit is improved environmental aspects without burning as much fuel. The other one is your pocketbook. Costs less to drive the vehicle.
Now, the other thing that we've found is that the rear seat space, because of the fact that the wheelbase has been lengthened, has been increased by a vast margin, but also, too, the rear folding seats, especially with the 5-door hatch, you've actually been able to not only get them flat, but actually address those who like to actually put quite a bit of cargo in the back.
Subarus are known for functionality and versatility, and with the 5-door version, yeah, there's a whole lot of room there to store all kinds of things. And it's for people who like to live active lifestyles. You know, whether you're going to be out snowboarding, skiing, or going camping, or whether you're simply going into Home Depot and picking something up, or buying your big screen TV, you can fit it into the Impreza, which is sort of unusual for something you wouldn't expect from a compact car. That kind of versatility, that kind of functionality, that amount of usable space. But the other thing is, when you've got the rear seat up, it provides a whole lot of room there for rear seat passengers. A lot of leg room. There's width between the two doors. The other one is that the seats are just designed for a whole lot of comfort.
Now, a lot of people, of course, have had their druthers about CVT, continuously variable transmissions, and we understand that, of course, Subaru is moving towards this technology for the automatics available because, of course, it gives the best efficiencies here. Our understanding, 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers combined with the new 2-liter Boxer. But the big concern that we've had at the road trip has been noise with CVTs. Now, how is Subaru addressing that?
This Impreza has second generation CVT transmission from Subaru, so it's more compact, more lightweight, and yet a nice sturdy exterior, and there's a lot of attention paid to isolating any sound that might be coming from the CVT. The chain has been specifically designed to reduce the noise it produces as well, and that's one of the differentiators of our CVTs from competitors who sometimes use belts. Using a chain provides you better response as well as better performance with the vehicle.
Well, it's definitely, so far from the drive that we've had around the Vancouver area, impressive in both the CVT and manual transmission modes. We're going to be talking about a little bit more today on the road trip. But Ted Lalka, thank you for joining us today on the road trip.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Michael Clark reporting to you from